President Trump was asked yesterday during a news conference with the Japanese Prime Minister about Social Security. So a reporter asked him, says, is Elon Musk going to go after Social Security next? And President Trump actually gave a good answer. And he said, no, Elon is not going to go after Social Security, even though there are reports that he is already in there and through the Department of Treasury. But President Trump said, no, he is not going to go in there because I am going to go in there. The White House is going to go into their Social Security, and he said he's going to strengthen. So let's watch a little bit about this. But unfortunately, as we'll see, it doesn't look like there's much of a plan. But we'll talk about that. Let's listen to the president here in a bit.
Social Security will not be.
All right. This is a one-man show. It's people that watch my
Social Security will
channel
not be
regularly.
touched. It'll only be strengthened.
Okay, so there's a little snippet of it, and this is very, very good. Social Security will not be touched, and he's mentioned that several times, which is a good thing, that Social Security will not, there will be no cuts, and they're not going to raise the retirement age. So that is very, very good. But the unfortunate part is, there's a vast majority of Americans, whether they're, poor, rich, Republican, Independent, Democrats, they support Social Security. They want Social Security to be fixed in the future and strengthened. The problem is, as everybody knows, if you look at the Social Security Trustees report, if you look at the Congressional Budget Office, if you look at the actuarial report, everything shows that there are going to be cuts to Social Security. So right now, probably about 2033 or 2034, there are going to be 21, 22% cuts across the board at everybody's Social Security check. Why is that? Is because the trust fund is slowly being depleted. And people say this trust fund has been stolen, it's been given out to this country, or whatever the case may be. No, that is incorrect. The trust fund is being used exactly how it was designed. The trust fund was built up in the early 1980s, and the baby boomers essentially paid more in taxes and all the rest of it. And that yellow line there, that yellow part, was the baby boomers putting money in the Social Security Trust Fund essentially as a savings for them to use later. And guess what? Around 2010, they started to retire. Right now, there's about 11,000 people that retire, that turn 65 every single day. Baby boomers are getting older. They're starting to pull the money that they put into Social Security out of it. The problem is that money, that trust fund, is going to be depleted in about 2034, 2033. If the current president gets some of the things he's talking about, it might be a bit early, maybe 2031 or 33%, so even more. So that trust fund is slowly being depleted. It's not been given away to whatever country and all these internet myths about, 6.2 million dead people are receiving benefits. Those are all internet myths that I've talked about several times in my channel. Where's the money going to? This is 2023, 2034, 2024 isn't out yet, but basically money is being taken out. So the reserves here on the bottom where it says net change in reserves. So in 2023, $70 billion from the trust fund was taken out of the trust fund and put in your checks. If you received a check in 2023, then you received the trust fund. So where'd the trust fund go? It went to pay your electricity, to pay your rent, and pay your mortgage. So that's where that money went. And so we need to do something to shore up Social Security. And just saying that I'm not going to touch it, I'm not going to raise the retirement age, that doesn't help. It helps in the short term because we don't get cuts immediately, but that's not going to help in the medium term when those cuts happen. So let's listen to the president and find out what his awesome plan is to shore up Social Security to make sure no cuts happen in the future. So I was very, very happy that he said the next target is going to be Social Security and Medicare, and we're going to strengthen it. And I'm like, perfect, good. That's exactly what needs to happen. Let's listen to the plan.
Social Security will not be touched. It'll only be strengthened. We have illegal immigrants on Social Security, and we're going to find out who they are and take them out. We have illegal immigrants in other Medicare. We have we found a lot of bad people, a lot of people that shouldn't be on. that were put on through California. A lot of them come out of California. We're not going to stand for that. So we're going to strengthen our Social Security, et cetera. We're not going to touch it other than to make it stronger. But we have people that shouldn't be on, and those people we have to weed out. Most of them, or many of them so far, have been illegal immigrants. They shouldn't even be in the country.
All right. That's a terrible plan. Yes, is waste, fraud, and abuse this issue with Social Security? Yeah, there's $1 trillion of benefits that go out every year. People that claim disability that aren't actually disabled, and obviously you have fraud, waste, and abuse with any program out there. But people, illegal immigrants coming into the country and getting Social Security benefits, you might find a handful or so, and people are immediately, oh, I know this guy that knows this guy that has a sister that knows his friend. I've taken hundreds of thousands of Social Security retirement claims, disability claims, Medicare claims, and in order for you to get benefits, you have to be in the country legally. You file for retirement, you had to pay into retirement for at least 10 years. And when you come in, you have to provide proof, a birth certificate that you were born in the United States, or if you got a green card, or naturalization, or whatever the case may be. You might find one or two handful of cases of fraud of people getting retirement benefits or disability. But again, disability if you're, disabled, but not because you're immigrant. So the idea that someone can come across the border, the southern border or the northern border, whatever the case may be, and go into a Social Security office. I'm not sure why he decided to pick on, California, because in order to get Social Security benefits in California, you still have to go to a federal office in California at the Social Security Administration. So that whatever state has no real relevance. And don't change the subject. Already see people changing the subject, and they're saying, "Well, Medicaid." No, we're not talking about Medicaid here today. I'll talk about that later, and I've talked about that in other videos. But we're talking about Social Security retirement benefits. We're talking about Social Security disability benefits. We're not talking about SSI for now, supplemental security income. We're not talking about spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits. We're talking about regular retirement benefits and disability benefits. People coming across the border and going into a Social Security office in San Diego or Los Angeles or San Francisco, wherever the case may be, and collecting retirement benefits. No, it just doesn't happen. I'm sure there's people that go in there. I ran the third busiest Social Security office in the country, and sometimes, yes, sometimes you had someone coming in there and committing fraud. We would catch them. Once we caught them, if we didn't catch them before, then we caught them afterwards, and they had to pay back all that money. Or the OIG, the Office of Inspector General, said, "Oh, this looks like this might be some type of group or something. Go ahead and give them the Social Security card, give them this, and we're going to follow this person because it looks like it's a larger group." So there are situations like that. What you're going to see is what was the common phrase a few years ago, a nothing burger. He says he's going to solve Social Security and make sure your Social Security benefits don't get cut in the next few years. How is he going to do that? By stopping immigrants from getting Social Security, retirement, or disability benefits, or whatever the case may be. This is just basically a distraction to essentially, to buy time. This distraction, people are going to say, "Oh, okay, looks like Social Security, Medicare, the issue is finally going to be solved, and he's going to solve it. He's got a plan, and this plan is going to work, and therefore the cuts aren't going to happen, and we're just going to sit back with our hands, sitting on our hands, and nothing's going to happen." They might find one or two people, like maybe there was one or two people that used to work in Mar-a-Lago who came over as immigrants, because he's hired thousands of W-2B or H-2B visa immigrants that work at Mar-a-Lago and his other facilities. And those people paid into Social Security when you're an H-1B visa, H-2B visa. If you're in the country illegally and you work under a fake Social Security number, yes, there are people that come in the country and work under fake Social Security numbers. There are people that worked at Mar-a-Lago that worked there for 9 months or a year or something like that, and then they left, and then they worked, and they're supposed to leave the country, but they continued to stay in the country and work illegally, but they paid into Social Security. Are they going to get those benefits back? No, they're not going to get those benefits back. A perfect story that I always tell about this is throughout the country. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but probably up about 10 years ago, we would have people coming in that served in Vietnam. They got, silver stars. They had multiple tours in Vietnam. I'm an old Marine Corps sergeant, so always tried to, help those people as much as possible. And they served in Vietnam. They got wounded, got a Purple Heart, or whatever the case may be. They came in to file for retirement benefits, but it turns out they were born in Canada. And when their parents came over to the United States, they didn't do their, the immigration stuff. This was back in the 50s or 60s or something like that. They didn't do their immigration stuff correctly. So the person was actually in the country kind of not legally, but they served in Vietnam. And we could not give them benefits because they could not prove. We said, we need your birth certificate. Okay, it shows you were born in Toronto. Okay, where's your naturalization? Well, I don't have a naturalization. Where's your green card? Well, I don't have a green card. I served in Nam. Here's my DD 214. In Vietnam, they took pretty much anybody. So we couldn't give them benefits. So sorry, you have to go back to the INS and get your green card to get your naturalization or whatever the case may be. We used to tell them, hey, reach out to your politician so you can expedite this. This is your benefits. You served our country, and it's not your fault that your parents came over illegally, or your parents didn't document you correctly. So that is how stringent Social Security is in terms of those benefits. So that person paid into it. People that overstay their visa, that came over the border illegally, that used somebody else's Social Security number, and it's estimated that there's about $37 billion that is paid into Social Security every year by people that shouldn't be paying into Social Security but it's fine because they'll never get that money back because they pay into Social Security under fake numbers or temporary numbers or whatever the case may be. And then when they turn 62 or 65 or whatever the case may, they come into Social Security and they think they're going to get their benefits. No, sorry, you can't get your benefits. You're not in the country legally. If they change their status later and leave the country or become naturalized one way or another, then they can get their benefits. But then they're not, and they might not be even able to get the benefits that they paid into it because they worked it under a incorrect number. So there might be a few people like that, but the the issue on saving Social Security and strengthening Social Security is extending the Social Security Trust Fund, extending it the cuts or stopping the cuts completely. How much is this plan to save Social Security by getting rid of immigrants? It's actually going to backfire because, again, if we get rid of all these fake numbers, then that's $37 billion less going into the Social Security Trust Fund every year. And the fact that these people are never going to get the benefits, so it's not really helping there. So this is really just not President Trump, unfortunately. I've looked at all the other plans, and there's no other basically plans that he has. It's drill baby drill or whatever the case may be. As people watch this channel, people are going to think I'm hating on President Trump or whatever the case may be. That I'm liberal or whatever. I am part of the Social Security party. My number one job is to help you get your Social Security benefits, and we're about to go to a live Q&A, so I'll answer all your questions, help you get all your Social Security benefits. But my other mission in my semi-retirement is to make sure Social Security is still around here for your future, that there's no cuts. And how do we do that? Is we reach out to our politicians, and this is how you do it. Call up your politicians and say, hey, fraud, waste, and abuse? Yes, obviously. Let's get fraud, waste, and abuse. Let's get rid of people that shouldn't be getting benefits, whatever the case may be. But that is not going to add that much time to the depletion of Social Security Trust Fund. Maybe a week, and I'm sure they're going to find one or two people that did this illegally, but it's just going to be anecdotal evidence, and it's not going to help the Social Security Trust Fund in terms of cuts. So how do we do it? You reach out to your senators, you reach out to your House of Representatives. There's a switchboard, there's the president, and say, hey, you need a plan to actually solve the problem. I tell them you don't want cuts. I say, I do not want my benefit check to be cut in a few years. I want Social Security to answer the phone. I need help. I don't want to have to depend on social media, some guy, Ed, on social media telling me, in kind of informing me how to get my Social Security benefits. I want the Social Security employees to tell me how to do that. That's their job. But unfortunately, Social Security staffing, it is at a 50-year low. So, and it's even worse now because of all the cuts. A lot of people jumping ship, and this whole misdirection about telework as well. As long as people just come back to the office, everything will be hunky dory. No, I've talked about that a few times as well. People can work in the cubicle right next to you, take appointments, answer the phone in the cubicle next to you just as well as they can 15 miles down the street in their home. It's no relevance whatsoever. If you want telework to end, no problem. But do not expect it to improve customer service. Do not expect it to improve customer service. It's not. The reason customer service is so bad is because politicians, that's exactly how they want it. It is a distraction, another distraction. It buys them time. So this distraction about it's illegals, it's 6.2 million dead people receiving benefits. It's telework. It's because the Social Security Trust Fund was stolen by politicians. It was given to Ukraine or whatever crazy myth comes up today. Those are all distractions politicians are using to distract you while they pick your pocket and dismantle Social Security so they can sell it off to their buddies on Wall Street. This is the Wall Street billionaires. And the people that watch my channel on a regular basis are smarter than that. If you're new to my channel, now hopefully you know what the deal is. Don't give in to the distraction. We need serious solutions to solve Social Security. And as I talk about, the number one solution I would recommend, and most of the people that watch my channel on a regular basis, is in the cap on Social Security. A lot of people don't realize. For most of you people watching, including myself, you make under $176,100, you pay Social Security FICA tax on every dollar you make. Elon Musk and the rest, if you make over $176,100, you don't pay FICA Social Security tax anymore. So we need to make that fair. If we have to pay FICA tax on every dollar we make, why don't people that make over $176,100, why don't they pay more? Is this a perfect solution? That's another distraction. Politicians say, well, it's not going to solve everything, and it's not going to solve 100% of the problem. Ed's not going to get his hair back. You're not going to be able to get free ice cream and unicorns. So, since it's not a perfect solution that solves all that, let's not even do it. Let's just sit around and wait for it to blow up. And when it does, then we can give it to our buddies on Wall Street and we can make a whole bunch of money on profits and kickbacks and all the rest of it. That's the plan. And we have been falling for it. And if you disagree with that, you can read the report that was written, the actual game book. Since we're coming up on Super Bowl here, the game book is an important thing. When people write a game book, then it's probably something they're going to follow. So the game book is in the description of my YouTube video. Check it out, and it tells you exactly what the game plan is to distract, to delay, and wait for a crisis. The crisis is upon us, and then they slowly give it over to their Wall Street billionaires. And and guess who loses? The people out there that are depending on Social Security. Okay, so I've got a lot of questions here. I will kind of mix it up between kind of people that disagree with me and also people that need help getting all the benefits they earned and are entitled to. All right, so let's see. I've got a lot. Let's see. Is it true that Social Security benefits won't be taxed starting this year? President Trump said he is going to do that. I don't think so. I personally don't think Social Security benefits should have ever been taxed. That's another thing that was started in the 1980s. So I 100% agree with that. So I think Social Security shouldn't be taxed. But the problem is that's people think that's a good thing. It's good if you're paying taxes, but about 40% of people don't even pay taxes on Social Security. So the people that can least afford it, they're not going to get any help, but it's going to hurt them more. Why? Because you see up here in the top left, taxes on old age survivors and disability insurance, $49 billion comes in every year. So if that $49 billion no longer comes in for taxes on Social Security benefits, then Social Security is going to run out. The Social Security Trust Fund is going to be depleted sooner, and there are going to be more cuts. 40% of people don't even pay taxes on Social Security. If basically all your income is Social Security, that's all you're living on is Social Security, you don't pay taxes. So the bottom 40%, it's not going to help them at all. It's the people that make other money, 401ks and pensions and other work or something like that. Those are the people. And again, I don't think Social Security tax benefits should have ever been taxed, but they are. And if you're going to cut taxes like that, fine, but you have to find another $49.8 billion to cover that hole to prevent those cuts in the future. So, and again, you might find, a few $1 million of immigrants, getting benefits illegally. And again, don't change the subject. Don't switch to Medicaid. Well, I've got this, anyway. So, all right. Okay, we'll go negative one here. Fred, what's up, Fred? Stop spreading fear, Ed. I'm on Social Security at 68 years old. I welcome Dodge to clean out fraud in the Social Security Department and every other government department. I agree 100%. I am just saying that that's not going to get it. That ain't going to get it. You know, fraud, waste, and abuse. Does it exist in Social Security? About 10-15% of the $1 trillion that goes out to you and everybody else on Social Security, about 10 or 15% goes to disability. So you could cut off half the people on disability, and you're still not going to get anywhere near um, what is needed to prevent cuts in the future. I have got no problem with going in there. If they want help, you know, with Social Security efficiency, I've put it out there several times. I told Elon Musk and give me a call. I'm no longer committed. I'm no longer an employee of the Social Security Administration, so I can tell you where there is fraud, waste, and abuse, and where there's places you could be more efficient. I can all day long. I've talked about it several times in my channel here. But don't think that's going to solve the problem. And fear, it's not mine. I don't shoot the messenger. This is the Congressional Budget Office, both Republican and Democratic congressional budget offices. They said the trust fund is running out. The Social Security trustees report, the Social Security actuary. I am just reporting the news, and that's exactly what the situation is. It's the trust fund is running out, and it wasn't stolen, and all this other kind of stuff. Again, those are distractions. All right, let's see here. Dr. Weary posts a comment on new social media articles where Trump claims that illegals are receiving Social Security benefits. Trump lies to bring an audience without factual information. Share your knowledge. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing here. Again, could there be a handful of people? Yes, there's fraud, waste, and abuse, but that's not going to solve the issue. Mr. Webb, thank you for the support. I appreciate it. And you got a few people became members. I appreciate that. Just subscribe there. Please subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. All right. Let's get to an actual policy type question. Someone stole my son's card when he was a minor. Who gets the money for that? Will it be part of his paid in amount? Yeah, I would just someone getting their Social Security number stolen, that's usually a credit type thing. Check your credit reporting agencies. In terms of Social Security, we used to have people coming in all the time. My Social Security card was stolen, and somebody bought a boat. And I said, well, it's not really Social Security. And the credit reporting agencies and everybody out there, banks should have never used the Social Security number as the primary number. It was the Social Security number. It's for Social Security benefits. But if your son's Social Security number was stolen, just go into My Social Security, SSA.gov, set up an account, and see if anybody worked under your son's account. And it'll show there, and everybody should do this, particularly now. Once you do your taxes, tell everybody once they do their Social Security taxes and they file their taxes and they get their refund, or they give them the IRS their ounce of blood. That's not the final step. They can go into SSA.gov, go into My Social Security, and check to make sure whatever you paid last year got to Social Security, because that's how they determine how much money you're going to make in retirement or disability or survivor benefits or anything like that. It's based on how much you actually paid into the system. So in terms of Social Security, all of the credit reporting agencies, that's separate. But in terms of Social Security, just go in there and see if anybody worked under his Social Security number. And if they did, then just say, hey, that's obviously not my son's earnings, and they will take those earnings off and they put it into kind of a limbo, a suspense account. So let's see. Smash the cap. I want to hear this from Trump's mouth. Not paying FICA or right FICA also a fraud, but lawful and rightful fraud. Yes, that's what I was hoping. I was with bated breath. I was watching the news conference with the Japanese prime minister, and he says, Social Security is too important for Elon Musk and his teenagers. I'm going to go in there and strengthen Social Security myself. And I'm like, yes, finally, renaming the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. Okay, fine, whatever. But for my 2 cents, Social Security should have been number one priority. You raise your right hand. I'm now president of the United States. Okay, let's make sure seniors, retirees who built this country. Let's make sure their benefits are protected. And so I was very, very happy when he said, "I'm going to do it myself." But the plan, yeah, unfortunately, is not there. Yeah. Let's see. BS. They should work at work. You are so political. Yeah. Again, yeah. If you want to end telework, that's fine. No problem. I worked for Social Security Administration for decades, and 99% of that time it was at the office. I'm just saying that ending telework, there are some politicians that went in Congress and during testimony, they said the reason phones aren't being answered, the reason disability claims take forever, the reason everything is so delayed with Social Security is because telework. That is a flat out 100% lie. And President Trump said he's going to end telework. Perfect. Okay, fine, no problem. But within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, let's see how customer service. So everything is going to be beautiful, and they're going to pick up the phone, and your disability claim is going to be approved in 3 or 4 months, like it used to be. Your retirement claim is going to be approved, the next day, and you're going to get your check, and you're not going to have any issues. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So guess what? It wasn't about telework. Again, if you want to end telework, fine, no problem. Yep, no problem at all. Trump is planning the biggest cut in U.S. history for the wealthy. This is the opposite of solving the problem. It is why it is going insolvent. Yeah, the cuts. There could be cuts that could pay off the debt, the national debt, the 36 trillion dollars, or cuts could go to support the cuts to the billionaires. So I wonder which one it will be. I don't care for how he has come across since the election. I appreciate the information, what we need to do regarding the FICA cap, but the rest needs to the rest. Okay, you're talking about me. Yeah, I've only been doing this channel for about a year and several months or something. And for the first year, just did completely policy, how to get disability, how to get retirement benefits, how to make sure you maximize your benefits, how to get Medicare, and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I've added the part of helping you get your benefits is not going to help make sure those benefits stay in the future. So I've moved to we also need to focus on the future to save Social Security, to protect it, because President Trump, he says he wants to protect and strengthen Social Security. I am 100% there. That is my only thing. So if President Trump would have said, I'm going to protect Social Security, I'm going to make sure there are no cuts, and here's my plan, X, Y, and Z, perfect. I'm 100%. But to distract by making a bunch of essentially low income people attack other poor people, then that's not going to help. They need to increase the FICA cap. We need to call Congress. Yes, absolutely. Raise the FICA cap. Thank you for delivering the truth. All right, thank you. You're welcome. A friend was promoted to management at Social Security. He said it was a bunch of heartless wolves. He went back to his old position, later retired. He was a top caseworker. A caseworker, yeah, they don't use those terms at Social Security, so I doubt he worked at Social Security. Yeah, there bad employees in Social Security. Yes, I've fired many Social Security employees. But one of the problems is, I've talked about this several times, and there are district managers throughout the country that just would love to fire one or two employees in their office, but they can't, not because they can't, they can. But the problem is they can't hire anybody else. So, the president says, well, we're going to get rid of these bad apples and then we can get new people in there. Well, okay, perfect. All right. I love the second part of that, and both parts of that. But the problem is the second part doesn't happen. There's no allocations, there's a hiring freeze. So if you fire someone that only does 70% of the job, you get someone you can't handle that 70%. So if that person is just not very good and only answers the phone 70% of the time, for example, or only adjudicates, 70% of the retirement claims on time, or whatever the case may be, you fire the person and all those claims, it just stacks up. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of district managers that would really love to fire people in their office, but they can't get a replacement, so they just have to suffer. And unfortunately, you have to suffer. So that's why you should call your politician and say, what are you doing to support your local Social Security office? Um, Doge is exposing all the fraud. Yep, yep, we're 100% for that. Absolutely, absolutely. How can any one reasonable person trust a? Okay, well, all right, we won't go there. Do you think the privatizing will happen after Trump is out of office so that he doesn't have to take the flack? Yeah, this is a long term plan. Again, the playbook was written in the 1980s, and I've got kind of, let me throw up the this is so get the fear going. Oh, let me throw this. Get the fear going. Say that the Social Security is going to end, which it is obviously, but kind of blame this and blame that. Ignore the problem. Ignore the solutions. Delay, 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 and then when a crisis happens, we're in crisis mode right now. Every year we go by, the crisis gets worse, and then you appoint people to particular positions like the OMB or the Commissioner of Social Security that want to privatize Social Security, that want to dismantle Social Security. And guess what? They just got approved. Well, the OMB guy did, and then propose the plan. And there are going to be, I did a video on a senator, said he is going to propose the plan. He hasn't proposed it yet, but it's probably going to come to essentially give half of the Social Security Trust Fund over to Wall Street so they can play with it however they want to do it. And the last thing you need is a president to sign off on that. So whether he will sign off on that, that is a question that we don't know. But the cuts are not going to happen during this presidential term. It's going to happen on the next one. But this is the one that needs to be this is the one. Well, regular viewers to my channel know that I'm not blaming Trump himself. I'm blaming Trump and Obama and Biden, and Trump was president for 4 years. I guess him again, and Bush and Clinton, all of them, and every senator and House of Representatives since 1985 are 100% at fault for letting this happen, for letting the cuts happen. So it's not only Trump's fault, it's all the politicians in office right now. They are not doing the thing to solve this. And President Biden, on his way out, he did a terrible thing too, the Social Security Fairness Act. And he says this is expand Social Security. No, it doesn't expand Social Security. That was a 100% political hit job. And people don't know about the Social Security Fairness Act, but it gave extra percentage to about 3% of retired government workers as trying to pretend that's expanding Social Security. No, it's just giving extra benefits to 3% of retired government workers. And yeah, that was 100% on Biden, and that it passed through bipartisan. And Trump also supported it. So, I blame Trump, I blame Biden, I blame all the politicians, and because and I guess it's our fault because we didn't, poke them with a sharp stick, right? Let's see. I've had Medicare Part B for 10 years, moved out of the country and let it go. I've been told that I will not be penalized if I come back if I show legal address here in a foreign country. True. No, that is not true. Unless you had health insurance under a national health insurance from another country, and that other national health insurance from that other country class is categorized as credible coverage, which most aren't, some are. But no, just the fact that you moved out of the country, no, you're going to get penalized 10% for every 12 months you were out of the country. And this is the time to actually you're in luck in one thing. This is the open enrollment period, or excuse me, the general enrollment period. It's the open enrollment period for Medicare Advantage. I'll go into both of those. So now's the general enrollment period for Part B of Medicare. So if you don't have Part B, you can sign up for Part B now. If you don't have a special enrollment period now, you can do it. So if you go ahead and sign up now, your Part B will start March 1st. So it's the general enrollment period, January, February, March. And then it's also the open enrollment period. It's all too confusing. That's why I partnered up with Chapter. So if you need help, the open enrollment period is if you have a Medicare Advantage plan and you forgot to check it and it turns out your doctors aren't covered or you picked the wrong one, this is your opportunity to switch your Medicare Advantage plan to another. You get one opportunity, January, February, March, to switch to another plan. And as people that know, they're regular viewers, I always recommend checking out Medicare Supplement first. Medicare Supplement Plan N or G. Those are the ones you should really check out first. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't get it because they don't know about it, or it's a budget issue because there are premiums for that. But Medicare Supplements Plan N or G, no prior authorizations, no networks. And this is also an opportunity to get out of a Medicare Advantage and go into a Medicare Supplement plan. But in most states, you'll have to go through underwriting, health underwriting. So there's that. Let's see here. Remove the phony headline. Trump only mentioned non-Americans who shouldn't get any money anyway. For others, he is going to stop taxes. Yeah, and I said yes. I'm sure there are, a handful of people that are, they somehow fraudulently provided documents or whatever the case may be. It doesn't happen very often. I'm sure it does happen sometimes, but it's not going to help. It's not going to strengthen Social Security. It's going to make a few cool headlines, but it's not going to help Social Security. So, in terms of the cuts in the future, so. SSI is a welfare program, not Social Security. So SSI, Supplemental Security Income, yes, is a welfare-based program. It is administered by the Social Security Administration. It's SSI, Supplemental Security Income, which you can get for being disabled or aged, 65 and older. It's administered by Social Security, low income, low resources, and it does not come out of the Social Security Trust Fund. SSI comes out of general taxation, but it is administered by the Social Security Administration. I worked many years doing telework. If people did not make company goals, they simply were let go. Yes. In my office, we had people teleworking during the pandemic and everything. And um, the phones, I could monitor the phones. I would say, hey, there's phones waiting. There's because there's a yellow code. There'd be a yellow code if the person was waiting over 5 minutes, and over 7 minutes there's a red code. And so, hey, what's going on with this phone? It's who's answering the phones? Oh, this person's Bob is answering phones, and but he's got a really long call. He's got someone that's dealing with an overpayment, so it's taking a little bit longer. Oh, okay. And whether the Bob was you know 50 feet away or where they were 5 miles away, it doesn't matter. There's this thing called the internet, and yeah, everything is monitored, and how many people take appointments and how long it takes them. But the problem is there's just not enough staff, so 6.5 million 112-year-olds. Yeah, again, another myth. Yeah, I've talked about that so many times. This is one. If the this myth has been going around since 2015, and it would take 5 minutes for politicians to fix it. The politicians would just have to give Social Security authority to cancel out those Social Security numbers without proof. That's the issue. Social Security cannot cancel out. There's not 6.5 million people receiving Social Security benefits. There's just 6.5 million numbers out there that don't have a death certificate, so they're just kind of sitting in there in limbo. They're not necessarily giving benefits to that person. It's just the number is that Social Security number doesn't have a corresponding death certificate. All the Congress has to do is 5 minutes, pass a bill, have the president sign it, and says, hey, those 6.5 million, just go ahead and close them out. You don't need a death certificate, and that'll end it. But why don't they? Because it makes for good headlines every few years. They've been using that same headline since 2015 to distract you. But we are smarter than them, and we know that it is a distraction. So let rich people pay more Medicare taxes. Well, actually, they do. Yeah, that's what's interesting is we could do the same thing with Social Security, what we did with Medicare. For Medicare, there is no cap. So when you pay FICA Medicare, there is no cap. If you make $100,000 or $1 million or $1 billion, you still pay Medicare all the way up. And actually, you pay more. It's over $250,000. You pay an extra 0.9%. So all they have to do is the same thing they did with Medicare, do it to Social Security FICA taxes, and there'd be no more cuts. And don't distract us with, whatever. So, um, Mr. Webb, Ed, can you please answer my question? Thank you. Sure. I'm on SSI. What if they cut Social Security benefits with my benefits? Would it be affected also? Thank you, Ed, for your knowledge. Yeah, if you're on SSI, the welfare-based program, that is unfortunately one of the things that they're going to go after first because it is a welfare-based program, and Medicaid. So any type of needs-based program, Medicaid, and they've already announced that they've got some cuts going there. So those people that have Medicaid, they're people that receive Medicaid can also receive Medicare, possibly. And if you're on SSI, you're what's called categorically eligible for Medicaid in most states. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on this, Mr. Webb. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but make sure you watch my video I did about a month ago on living on Social Security alone. I've got about 50 other programs in there that might help you out. If all you're receiving is SSI, this year the max you can receive on SSI is $967, and that's very tough to get along with. So, all right, let's see. Jacqueline, speaking of bad employees, I agree. Someone took my SSI to pay a dormant EDU plan and it blew my credit to hell, but I am disability and it has further made living off $1,000 worse. Wow. So somebody take your Social Security check. Bad employees. I don't. Was that a Social Security employee? Yeah. That's. Well, maybe you had a educational loan, and the Department of Education or whatever company you had the loan through docked your. Well, they can't dock SSI. They can't garnish SSI. Um, yeah. So I'm wondering about that. Maybe you're talking about regular Social Security benefits. So. All right, I'm jumping around here. We've got tons of questions. So unfortunately, I'm not be able to answer all of them here in an hour. But thank you for your wonderful video. My ex-husband died about a year ago. My family keeps telling me that my Social Security will increase now and to call Social Security about it. Yes, for survivor benefits. So you can start surviving spouse benefits at 60 years old. A lot of people are missing those 2 years because they think Social Security starts at 62, which is correct for retirement benefits and spouse benefits and divorce spouse benefits. But in terms of surviving spouse, widower benefits, you can start those benefits at 60. Actually, you can start them at 50 if you are what's called a disabled widow. Disabled widows benefits, you can start at 50 to 59 years old, but you have to be disabled. So, Catherine, if you are at least 60 years old, and you can conceivably file for surviving spouse benefits. There are work limitations. If you're under full retirement age, you have to stay under the work limit. This year, it's the $23,400. And with survivor benefits, you do not have to sign up for benefits on your own record first. This is a common mistake people make, and they lose benefits. So, let's say you're 62 years old and you want to go ahead and file for benefits. You can either file for retirement benefits on your own record or surviving spouse benefits. If you're This is different if your spouse is alive, your current or your ex-spouse. If and that's the case, you have to file for benefits on your own record. But surviving spouse, you do not. Okay, so you're 62 years old and you say, okay, which one do I file for? Should I file for retirement on my own or file for surviving benefits? Probably better, it depends on the numbers. It's probably better to go ahead and file for surviving spouse benefits and don't touch yours. So you get your surviving spouse benefits and you let yours increase. So every month you delay receiving Social Security benefits, retirement benefits, your benefits go up all the way until you reach 70 years old. So you get those surviving spouse benefits for a few years and then you switch over to your own. Or, depending what the numbers are, maybe you start with retirement benefits first and you let the surviving spouse benefits increase. They don't increase to 70, they will max out for most of the time at your full retirement age. But it really depends on when your deceased spouse took benefits. Surviving spouse benefits there's a lot of different variables. Let's see. Thank you for breaking all this down so clearly. I don't know about the clear part, but yeah, I try my best. I appreciate it. My opinion, if able, take Social Security at 62 years old before it gets cut. Um, yeah, yes, everybody is different, and I people have asked me that question a billion times, and I, say, should you take it early? Do you need the money? Are you working? Do you have people waiting for benefits to start? And once you start, how's your health? How's your, family genes? Is it going to put you on a higher tax bracket? Can you do better by taking that money and investing it yourself? But I've added that last one, the politics of it, not because this guy is president. So if Vice President Harris had won, I would be doing the same thing. I would say we have kicked the can down the road for decades and there's no more road. The cuts are going to happen. There doesn't seem to be a plan that the politicians are going to do. And so they're just going to sit there and wait and ignore it and delay and wait for the cuts to happen. And then they'll say, well, we can solve the cuts if we just go ahead and dismantle the whole thing and give it to our buddies on Wall Street. So that's the crisis they're waiting for, and we've essentially let it happen. And yeah, so all right, let's see here. I'm jumping around. It's the ones that had to prove a physical disability that are worried. Others are not. See the point? Only those worried are faking. Okay. Yeah, that's in the previous President Trump administration, his presidential budgets, he called for call to cuts to the disability benefits. Because, people say, when they talk about Social Security and fraud, that's usually the number one thing they're looking at is disability. People that are receiving benefits that shouldn't be receiving, that are, aren't actually disabled. They can go to work, whatever the case may be. In terms of retirement, there's not that much fraud. I mean, you work, you paid into the system, you provide your Social Security number, you provide your, birth certificate. Sometimes you don't need a birth certificate nowadays if you're born in the United States, and you get your benefits. So there's not much. Well, in the decades I worked at Social Security, we had one case of retirement fraud. A person from overseas contacted their local government office in the particular country. I'm not going to mention the particular country, and they got a fake birth certificate that says they were a few years older than they are, so they could get the benefit at full retirement age rather than being reduced. But we caught that person, and we no longer accept documents from that particular country. So there's that. Yeah, so retirement fraud pretty much, doesn't, doesn't really exist. It's, yeah. The youth facilities can't get paid those residents. Oh, okay, I'm not sure what that. All anyone cares about is getting their dollars. Who is on our side? Fix the problem already. Exactly. We've been saying that for decades, right? Fix the problem already. Um, why, when married, does a person not qualify for many assistance programs? Why is it based on my husband's income since I am on Social Security? Yeah, if we're talking about income related welfare type programs, then yeah, it's if you're receiving SSI, the welfare based program, or Medicaid or food stamps or whatever the case may be, and you marry a millionaire, yeah, sorry, you're not going to get your benefits. So sorry. They're going to eliminate taxes, Social Security, et cetera, because their goal is UBI, Universal Basic Income, China-style social credit system, full control over everyone and everything. Yeah, okay, all right, maybe the Chinese-style social credit system. Yeah, that was a big kind of internet myth that they kicked around for about a day and a half, but it doesn't exist. So I don't believe nothing coming. Oh, okay, okay, all right, so. All right, well, goodbye. If you have three people in a family, husband dies, and the wife gets such language. I've never experienced that language when I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. Oh. If you have three people in a family, husband dies, and the wife gets Social Security, and so does the disabled child. That's two people in a household collecting from Social Security, only one paid into it. Yep, that's correct. Yep. Yep. So that's part of the Social Security. It's part of the Social Security system. When a parent dies, they expect for their family to be taken care of. And if there's two people or three children or four children, we've had that happen unfortunately way too many times. And people always ask, well, my father paid into Social Security all his life, but he passed away at 62 before he could start benefits. What happened to that money? Well, situations like this. I've had situations where you have a young parent dies in a terrible car accident at 27 years old, but they have like 3 kids. What's going to happen to 3 kids? They get benefits, but the parent only paid Social Security for like 4 or 5 years. But those children will receive benefits until they're 18 years old, or until they graduate high school, or if they're disabled for the rest of their life. Where does that money come from? From other people and stuff. That yeah, just if you have car insurance, you know, where does that money come from? If you get car insurance one day and you get a car accident the next day, where does it come from? From your premiums? No, it comes from, yeah. So that's the kind of the nature of the pooled risk that is Social Security or any insurance. Social Security, Senator Kennedy is the person who revealed that millions of 112-year-olds are receiving Social Security. That is incorrect. You know that is fraud. Yeah, that is 100% incorrect. And you can listen to him. I listened to his thing, and he kind of played around with the numbers, and he talked about one thing, and then he skipped to another, and he skipped to another thing. And with these express intention of tricking you to think those are connected. But if you watch it, you know that he's playing around with but he knew people were going to pick it up and it was going to be an internet myth. And it's the same internet myth that's been around since 2015. So come on, we need to be smarter in this. How many did people collect Social Security benefit checks and how many people? Okay. Yeah. So again, wow, this is why Social Security, they're going to be cuts. This is exactly why they're going to be cuts in the future because, yeah, we're not being serious. So, trying to get back in the job market but have aged out. Have an open claim for SSI welfare. Just apply for Social Security and have Medicaid. I'd rather have a decent job, but it's hard in the 60s. Yes, 100%. I agree with you 100%. So, yeah, if you have Medicaid, you apply for Social Security. You can receive Social Security retirement benefits and or disability benefits and SSI. A lot of people miss that. Actually, when you apply for Social Security, that's one of the things the employee is supposed to address is, if your retirement or disability benefits is only, let's say, $500, they're supposed to see if you're also eligible maybe for SSI, the welfare-based program. And what happens is, again, SSI, the max you can get from SSI is $967. So if all you get from retirement or disability is $500, you can get another $467 from SSI. But again, you have to have low income, low resources to be eligible for that. But if you are eligible for Medicaid, you should be eligible for SSI as well. So. Hello, my husband is on SSDI and I'm hoping to semi-retire, quit one of my job, wow, one of your jobs, wow, and keep it under 16,000. Will my husband or I lose anything? Help, confused. Okay. So no, your husband is on SSDI, so you can make $1 billion a month and it doesn't affect his benefits at all because he is on SSDI. I assume SSDI only. If part of that includes SSI, then he might lose that. But if he's only on SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, what he paid FICA tax for all that's has nothing to do with how much money he has or how much money you make. The only relevance for him is if he works, because Social Security Disability is it's the inability to work. So if he works, then that's a whole different issue. But you working has no effect on his benefits whatsoever. So um, in terms of you, if you are under your full retirement age, you just have to stay under the $23,400. And as long as you're under that, you're good. So, not a political site. This is about Social Security. Keep your ugly comment. Well, actually, it's, well, are you talking about me or somebody else? So, um, yeah, I'm policy. Again, if President Trump would have came up there and said, I'm going to strengthen Social Security and here's my solution to make sure the cuts don't happen in the future, a good solution, I would be jumping up and down and say, yes, perfect, awesome. It's taken decades and you're the first one that actually is going to do it and address it and let's get it done. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So, but I'm an optimist. Maybe, the White House will come out tomorrow and say, okay, he didn't mean only that. He also has his plan, this 5-point plan to do this, 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 and this to shore up Social Security to make sure cuts don't happen. So, and if that happens, then I will make another video and I say, well, he came out with a plan, and here's his plan, and this is a good part and this is the bad part, and we should really support the good part and not support the bad part. So I will 100% make another video if he comes out with a plan. If anybody sees his plan that I miss, please let me know, and let's check it out together. Isn't Social Security supposed to know what if we are receiving spouse benefits, what we can also receive our benefits? Yeah, not sure about that. Wall Street, not be good. Byron Donald Center. Okay, all right. Let's see. What if you've been a housewife and not worked, can still get Social Security? Yes, you don't have to be insured to receive spouse benefits. There's a lot of people missing that. They think, well, I can't get retirement. I'm not qualified for retirement because I never paid into retirement. That doesn't matter. If you are married to someone, so if you're currently married and that person paid into Social Security and you're at least 62 years old, or 60 if it's a surviving spouse case, then you can get benefits. You don't have to be insured or anything for Social Security at all. So that's what a lot of people miss. So let's see. I started mine at 62 because I would never catch up with my husband's Social Security. Yeah, that's it sounds like Mary did a split strategy where the low income earner goes ahead and collects benefits as soon as possible, and then the higher income earner waits until later, the full retirement age, or when they stop working, or whatever the case may be. And then Mary gets her benefits, gets that money in the pocket, and then when the higher earning spouse files, then she jumps on that record. But remember, I try to mention this in every single video I do because so many people are missing it. So I don't know if you or someone please reach out to them. It's called independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. So let's say Mary was married to someone and entitled to benefits on that person's record, married at least 10 years. People think that their ex-spouse has to be receiving benefits. That is 100% incorrect. As long as you were married to that person for 10 years and you've been divorced for 2 years, at least 2 years, and your ex is at least 62 years old, it doesn't matter whether they are receiving benefits. There's unbelievable amount of people out there that are just sitting on their hands saying, well, yeah, I'm getting my benefits and I could get another $300 or $400 or $500 from my ex, but he or she hasn't filed for benefits yet, so I can't get him yet. No, that is 100% incorrect. You can file for benefits. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. And here's another problem is I tell people that all the time, and then they go into Social Security, and the people at Social Security, the people at the front windows aren't experts in that and retirement. They're just generalists. And they say, no, your ex has to be receiving benefits. No, that's incorrect. Just tell them independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. So this is what this channel is all about, is to help y'all get the benefits you're eligible for, you need, you and everybody else in your community. So with all the information that you receive, if you know a friend or family or relative or the waitress or whoever down the street, reach out to them and say, hey, aren't you receiving Social Security? Weren't you married? Then bring them to this channel, tell them, and help them out. And the second part, my new, is to make sure these stay around for a while. Let's see here. Please don't go political on it. Yeah, I'm staying policy, not necessarily political policy. Well, politics by definition is kind of where resources go. Where our politics is all about resources. One political party says the government's, the people's resources should go here, and another political party says resources should go there. I am with the political party that says resources should go and protect Social Security and Medicare. That's my political party. So whichever, political party is the political party that does that, that's who I'm with, because my political party is making sure your benefits don't stop. So let's see here. I started at 62 on my retirement, and my husband started at 62 also. Can I switch to his Social Security? He is still alive. You can't switch per se, but you can definitely add those benefits. If his benefits are twice your amount, then you can add the difference between the two. Oh, this is Mary Jo again. And this is another mistake. Mary's starting me off on all the mistakes out there. So this is good, Mary. I appreciate it. Another mistake people do when they check to see if they're entitled to spouse benefits is they look at the wrong numbers. You have to look at the PIA, not the MBA. MBA. What is that? The PIA is the primary insurance amount. That's the amount you would have received if you waited till your full retirement age. Your MBA is your monthly benefit amount, how much your actual check is deposited, how much your actual check after Medicare deductions and whatever, right? So people, you got Mary and Bob sitting in there and says, "Hey, I wonder if I can get money off your record." "Oh, then let's see how much mine is." "Okay, mine's this and yours." "Oh, that's not twice as much, so I guess I can't get benefits." No, no, don't look at those numbers. That's your check amount. That's your monthly benefit amount. You have to look at the PIA. How do you know that? You can go online to mysocialsecurity.gov and it tells you what the PIA is. If not, unfortunately, you have to call Social Security and wait on the phone for 3 hours. And while you're waiting on the phone, then you reach into your politician's website and say, "I need help with a federal agency," because they all have it on their websites. That little button that you push that says, "I need help with a federal agency." And what do? You put down there, "What help do you need with Social Security?" I need them to answer the damn phone. I need you to support our local Social Security office so they can answer the damn phone. So they got people. And so anyway, but while you're waiting, and once you finally talk to someone, then say, "Hey," Mary says, "Hey, can I get any money off my husband Bob here?" And the person on the other end will look at your PIA and his PIA, and if there's one is twice the other, then they'll schedule you an appointment, and you'll get that money. And you probably won't even need a marriage certificate or a birth certificate because you're already getting benefits, so you won't need a birth certificate. In terms of marriage certificate, you're married, and Bob will just say, "Yeah, she's my wife," and and that usually suffices. So yes, get that there money. All right. All right. Let's see. Oh, we're way over time. We're over an hour. Unfortunately, got tons and tons of questions, but unfortunately, just not enough time. So, all right, I will taking off tomorrow for the Super Bowl, but I will be back the next day. So, if you have any questions, program helping you get your benefits, make sure you cut and paste it. Join me on Monday and pop it in there, and I will get to those questions. Y'all have an awesome